questions asked that can be investigated, and we're open to looking at that at the cost of the developer of any sewer line installation and easements that are required. And regarding any roadway improvements, and I'll let Jonathan talk about this a little bit more, we are fine moving this project on to construction plan review. There's some turn lanes that the site will have to do, but we also want to finalize that with TDOT in coordination with their widening project. And outside of that, we're good with, we've talked with the applicants about moving this towards approval, and we're good with doing it that way before we issue any construction plan approval to get these issues resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commission? Please.
Yeah, my biggest concern is that there's no current access to sewer. We had a similar project where we had a vet clinic that wanted to move to a daycare that was in the same situation, didn't have access to sewer, and we denied them based on that. I find it hard in my end just to be able to say, well, hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully the school system will work with the city. Hopefully we'll be able to have the ability to have sewer. So I think that's just my biggest concern with the project is, and I really think staff called it out pretty good in the summary, is the intention of the developer. And I don't know if I'm comfortable with the intentions that they might have. So I'm not seeing any sewer. So for me, I just don't think it's something I can support.
What is the timeline on this project? Do you know exactly? I know you were talking about the TDOT, the road, and the turn lane, and I know that traffic is an issue in that area, period.
I'll defer to Jonathan on that one with his insight with TDOT.
Yeah, TDOT has a safety project underway right now. They're working through the design right now to add the center turn lane across this section. And the gentleman from TTL, they have discussed with TDOT that their traffic study did show that they needed a left turn lane in and a right turn lane in to their site. And I believe that they've worked it out with TDOT where they will design the right turn lane. TDOT's project will design the left turn lane. Now, as far as when that roadway improvement project goes to construction, I do not have a firm timeline on that now. It is not in TDOT's published 10-year plan, but their safety program projects are being done outside of the 10-year plan. So for safety projects, just because it didn't make the published list doesn't mean they go away. It's just a different funding mechanism and timeline on those. We have been in discussion with Region 3 to try to find out what the time frame looks like. They have not confirmed any set time yet.
That would be one of my main concerns, is the ingress and egress for safety and for the roadway. And I would hope that they would coordinate that and not jump ahead, put that in.
That conversation has gone on between city staff, TTL, and TDOT to coordinate what their schedule is, what TDOT's schedule is, just to make sure that you don't do a right turn lane without the left turn lane, and then you have a gap in the road, and the things that make people scratch their head about roadway construction. So we have been working through that, and the applicant's engineer has been working with TDOT to try to make sure those timelines do coincide with each other.
So this kind of down the road a minute, seems to me it might be.
Yes, but I think our recommendation is we're not going to give construction plan approval until we're further along with that. So
That's for both the sewer and the roadway situations. Like I said, there is a potential gravity sewer option. If they want to pursue that, we'll work with them in construction. But if it's not there, then construction plan approval will be withheld.
But are we not putting the cart before the horse, for lack of a better phrase? We've got all these things that are up in the air. TDOT may fund it, they might not. We don't have a timeline. We don't know if the county school system is going to allow the city to take ownership of the sewer. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns, and I mean, that's the point of the planning commission, right? We're supposed to take things slow, think about things. And I don't see any harm, just in my opinion, taking a step back on this. And when those stars align and we're able to to have all those things happen and we know they're going to happen, I'd feel a lot more comfortable letting this move to the next level.
Commissioner Hafner?
What's the, what do you anticipate the timeline on the gravity sewer? Getting a clearer understanding of that. Whether that's an option or not. Are we talking 30 days, 60 days?
As soon as, if this gets their approval and if they choose to go that route, city staff will be open to meeting with them on laying it out.
So if it was deferred 1 month, do you think you have enough information on that gravity sewer?
I'd have to defer to the applicant on if they're willing to do that. But like I said, we can make ourselves available to work with them on setting an alignment up.
Is the applicant here?
Name and address for the record, please.
Connor Gilbert, GTL, civil sign engineer, 624 Grassmere Park, Suite 14, Nashville. So we do have survey data on that gravity sewer. We'd have to go a little further down the line to look at capacities for the existing pipes there. And of course, what impacts does extension have? Will easements need to be procured? Things of that nature. But that is something that we've made well aware, the developer, and are actively looking at as an option.
Do you have a timeline?
Timeline as far as deeming the design for that extension?
Yeah.
I would say given additional survey, and of course this is at our developer's discretion, not necessarily my decision. But I would say after survey, probably a month or so for us to be able to have design laid out for that.
Okay.
So on the sewer that the city is discussing with the school system, is that correct? Has that already been approached by to the schools?
We've had discussions with the school board last winter, and the school board director verbally committed that they would be willing to give us the line for maintenance, take over it and maintain it, along with the pump station that they have at West Elementary. The issue that's there is an ordinance was written when that line was put in that dictates the school owns the line. We would have to take it back to our elected officials to have that overturned. And we were waiting to do that until we had a plan of the utility relocation with TDOT before we approached the board. We wanted to do it one time with a full plan that incorporated taking over ownership and rerouting with the TDOT project, so we did not have to come back twice. And like I said, we're still working on that with TDOT, and that's when we will be bringing that forward to the BOC. But they verbally committed to giving us ownership of the line. The director did.
With it being a supplemental daycare provision anyway, DHS wouldn't issue them a license to operate if they didn't have sewer anyway. So, I mean.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's why I written it in this way, that they won't even have approval until the sewer source is procured.
Right.
And I would assume that also includes any kind of form of land disturbance permit, demolition permit.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Tell you one of the things that, oddly enough, this morning I came directly through this area right at school time, and I found myself very thankful to be headed eastbound at that very moment. Traffic this morning was literally past Cook's United Methodist Church, and it was stopped at Cook's United Methodist Church. That's almost a 1.5 2-mile stretch on Highway 70. And this project would give another opportunity to stop traffic. Those parents have kind of been trained, I guess, that they figure out a way to drive on the shoulder, drive in the grass, so that they try to get out of people wanting to go through that area's way. Even eastbound traffic does. They're commonly just kind of sitting on the road. I drive a larger vehicle. Sometimes it's rather challenging to get around them, but even though they're making a valiant effort to accommodate, but you're talking about something to queue right up in there again with 196 children in an area that is at the same time that the traffic movement is there at the school, we're going to put another traffic movement for 196 children in the same movement. That's a challenge to get aboard with that. It's been a long time since I've actually been through that stretch of road. And I would imagine that I would have been, if I had been heading westbound on Highway 70 this morning, I would probably be a pretty aggressive and a pretty angry driver. And that's not a good recipe when you have two areas, condensed areas with children in them.
And I understand the concern. The existing, we performed the traffic impact study as well. The level of service for the existing Lebanon Road, that stretch, the intersection from our site to Terrace Hill, is rated an F.
Yeah, it's
And
brutal.
just as is. I'm not saying that we're going to be improving the situation, but I would say that.
And that's kind of the reason why
TDOT's.
I could get behind it as well. If you could get, if this were in TDOT's plan to get you that left end or get you the right end, no matter which way that you're going. But fact of the matter is, you've got people that are going to be traveling eastbound that are probably not going to give you much freedom to make your left-hand movement. And if you're headed westbound, to try to get in here, getting in and getting out is not necessarily a safe situation at the peak times. And those are the peak times right there. I got to agree with Commissioner George and his statement to say that the cart is just a little bit ahead of the horse. It's a great concept and a much needed facility, I know, in Mount Juliet. But at the same time, we do got to monitor safety of what's there, and it just seems like a very difficult situation. Just one more comment on that, because I had to try to figure out where exactly this was located, and so I just pulled it up on my phone. And then looking at that, we're not doing any tree preservation. We're going to mass clear this site. So
It's
just
intended
because
for-
there's two residential houses on either side of it, we're just going to mass clear.
The intent is to maintain a 60-foot buffer. There's a Silver's Creek. I can't remember the exact name of it.
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
a creek at the rear. We are maintaining a 60-foot buffer and steering clear of any clearing of vegetation.
Not that they'll
At the rear.
remain residential through there. I'm not that naive to say that they'll have residential on either side of them, but you currently have residential properties on either side of you.
Yeah, one I believe is a county. It's a county property that is zoned commercial, but does currently house residences. And then to the east, I believe we have the barber shop.
Yeah, they got one directly in that long driveway right there behind you. Come back there. Further questions, comments? Seeing none?
Yeah, well, just
Please.
back to the sewer. So when, so you don't have a timeline on when you may have that resolved as far as whether or not the site would have adequate access to sewer or not?
So our current intent would be to, of course, most favorable is use of the force main that's existing out there. Our current intent is to, moving forward from this meeting, if it were the case that we were to be approved, is to pursue initial design or analysis of the gravity main. And if it's the case that the indefinite timeline from the force main does not work out with the timeline of trying to get out there and start business, it would be the case that they would most likely pursue the gravity main. Once again, I'm not the one making the decision there,
Yeah.
but that's how I currently understand the proceedings from here.
I think I'd like to see sewer available before we figure out this in and out issue over there and make a final vote on it. You wish, is it your desire for us to proceed?
That would be my desire. Yep.
Very well. Questions, comments from the commission? Thank you, guys. At this time, we'll take citizen comments. Any citizens wishing to make comment about this item on our agenda is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, I'm looking for a motion in regards to this item on our agenda.
Make a motion for a negative recommendation.
Be a negative vote, it's not a recommendation. Yeah,
Take that too.
very well. That's a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? That is denied.
And I would add that I'm not against the figure. Just against
Yeah.
the timeline
Very well.
as such.
Yeah.
So.
Understood.
That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Next item up on our, as a reminder, item 8A, item 8A on our agenda was deferred at the beginning of our meeting. So we'll move on to item 9A, which is simply a discussion item. Item 9A is just to discuss the Green Hill Commercial Project located on North Green Hill Road and Lebanon Road. So as a, we don't see normally our discussion items are rather small in content, such as training, things like that are normally brought to our agenda as discussion items. One of the things I do want to make mention of, this being an actual plan, because this was a condition that we put forward on this development due to a few things, kind of what we just said just a minute ago, cart being a little bit ahead of the horse on a few items in regards to this plan. So as a condition, we did ask that prior to the second reading at the Board of Commissioners, that it be presented back to the Planning Commission so that we could review this plan and see how it did lay out, make any comments. So it's not necessarily a recommendation item and it's not a voting item, but it's simply if you wish for any of your comments to be heard by our Board of Commissioners, then this is your opportunity to have them done as such. So just wanted to clarify that real quick in regards to this item on the agenda. So want to move forward and John for planning.
So Jill and I took a look at this morning, kind of limited review, and we looked at the conditions that came out of the first go around at the Board of Commissioners. They had addressed the bulk of them, the planning and zoning ones, I guess, specify. I guess there's a handful on here that they addressed. I don't know how, I guess some of the bigger ones, phasing plan, traffic study, fence material, monument sign locations, things like that. So I don't know. It's, just FYI, I guess, at this point. That's all I have.
Very well. Thank you. Shane, anything from Public Works in regards to this?
Yeah, we received plans in the traffic study yesterday morning. We probably began a preliminary look at it. I submitted the traffic study for review to Jonathan yesterday morning, and that review is going on well. No comments have been finalized or anything based off of that at this point in time. And I'll let Jonathan speak to any other findings he's got here if you've got any questions.
Please, that's kind of my biggest thing is I'd like to hear any findings that you discovered within that.
Right. We received the study yesterday morning, and we have been going through the study to try to understand the updates for the current revision of the study. We have not concluded our findings on it. The applicant's engineer did meet with TDOT, and we were in attendance for that meeting. What is shown for their driveway onto Lebanon Road is what TDOT has said they are okay with, pending the finalization of the traffic study and any comments from the city. That is a driveway that is a right in, right out, and allows a left turn in into the site. That is the only access point, new access point, I should say, onto Highway 70 that TDOT is okay with. So that had been a concern, I think, at some previous discussions. The applicant was proactive in getting a meeting with TDOT Region 3 and based on their review, that's the access point that they are okay with. We are currently going through the findings and conclusions of the study. We are diligently working on it in advance of having comments ready for the BOC on Monday. We just need a little bit of time to get through it. But I can attempt to answer any questions you may have based on our preliminary review.
One initial one on this, just because I wasn't a fan of it, and tonight it's there. Access point to Old Green Hill Road. Did the traffic study request that entrance, or may say that it was necessary over there?
It was included in the traffic study, and based on the preliminary results that they are showing for as far as the existing level of, or the anticipated level of service and delay at the current signalized intersection at North Green Hill Road. Based on what they're showing, it's going to be impacted by this development. A concern is if there are no other additional outlets, it's not going to get better.
Okay.
Given the amount of traffic that's anticipated. So that's what we've been able to determine so far.
Staff does like that point. Not necessarily like it, but based on what you're reading, necessary, I guess.
It honestly depends on what the city's willing to accept as far as the efficiency and safety of their roadways.
Okay.
If the goal is to try to get as close to existing level of service and delay as you can with the development, then you're going to need access points. It's probably not great to compare traffic flow with people in it to sewers, but it's the same concept.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you need a bigger pipe, or sometimes you need less demand on the pipe.
Great. What road improvements, or all road improvements from the traffic study on this plan that we're looking at right here?
What I saw of the conclusions and recommendations, and this has not necessarily been fully vetted by staff. The traffic study, I believe, and I think the applicant's engineers here, proposes an additional traffic signal to be installed at Highway 70 and Old North Green Hill Road as a mitigation measure. That is not particularly shown on, at least on sheet C 1.00. Based on our review this afternoon when we're going through it with Public Works, they are showing, their study is showing some increases in queue length for vehicles southbound approaching Highway 70. We will need to work out with them sometime between now and construction plan, adding additional storage length, again, based on the preliminary findings to Old North Green Hill and North Green Hill, because based on their results, you don't have enough storage length in your turn or in your travel lanes. So again, that's not been fully fleshed out yet. As far as that was just something we found at about 4:00 this afternoon when we were going through this, that they're showing an increase, obviously an increase in demand, more than what the available laneage has on it. They are showing an additional southbound left turn lane on Old North Green Hill into this, what we've been calling their Northwest Connector. So they are showing that in there. That was stated and reflected in their traffic study. They are showing at TDOT's request and city staff's request, a right turn deceleration lane on Highway 70 into the new intersection. We've got some comments about the design of that we'll hash out during construction plan review. It was listed in the traffic study, and I believe it's in here, the additional pedestrian improvements at the signal of North Green Hill and Highway 70. So that's been carried forward from some previous discussions. Again, that's what we've been able to ascertain at this time.
Make one comment to say that it looks like a lot of the comments that I had on internal movement have been addressed. Or a lot of my concerns with stop bars, extending that entrance, I would say northbound, the main entry or proposed main entrance to Lebanon Road. Looks like it's provided or pushed back into the site, which I enjoy more than, at least that appears to be a change. So I've slept a couple nights between then. Further questions, comments from the commission, please.
I've got a couple comments, and I guess I'll just start out by being blunt. I'm kind of aggravated. I went back and watched the meeting that we talked about this to make sure that I didn't dream it. When we made the motion that we made, I was under the impression, and I can't speak for the rest of planning commissioners, that this agenda item would come back to us once a traffic study was there and we could vote on it, and it was still an actionable item. But now, from what I've heard and what I'm hearing tonight, is that our approval 2 months ago, that was our straight approval, pushing it to the BOC, and we are only allowed to give comments now. And I honestly, once again, I can't speak for the rest of my planning commissioners, I feel kind of kneecapped, doing our job and doing what's best for the city of Mount Juliet and its citizens, when every single issue that we had 2 months ago, majority of them are still in this plan. I didn't want any access on Old Green Hill Road. I can't even tell you the amount of times that I see people cut through now on a daily basis. And let's not even talk about putting an entrance and exit in now to another property. But I guess I'm really just aggravated that I was under the impression, and I went back and watched the video, that we were going to get to have an actionable item on this. And this wasn't just a weather balloon. Let's just put our comments up and hope that they get read. So one question I did have for legal, I think, Gino, this might be for you. Robert's Rules of Order, is that what we operate under? Yes. So if I made a motion to reconsider, which is when a member who voted on the prevailing side of a actionable item wants to reconsider it, would that be proper?
Not tonight.
Why is that?
It would have been done at the previous meeting where it was approved. If it was already voted upon and you had second thoughts, then you could make the motion to reconsider, but not after it's been done.
Even if we made that approval based on a certain set of things that we didn't think were happening?
I don't know without looking at what was approved, and approval's approval, and it would have been with conditions, I'm assuming, and I haven't read and looked at everything. So if those approvals that were conditioned and been approved, then it won't work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I appreciate that. I just think my concern really was that I think we voted on something and we lost our say-so in it. And that's why I really drew a hard line earlier in the meeting about the daycare, is that, I don't mean to be this way, but it's hard for me to be able to trust what's going to happen moving forward, what our opinions are allowed to say when we get kind of kneecapped like that. So I know this is just a discussion item. It's nothing that we can necessarily do, but I don't feel that the vote we took 2 months ago was representative of where the opinions of the body were at that time.
Thank you. Please.
For you, concerning, you were saying you didn't like the access and to Old Green Hill Road.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Why do you see that as a disadvantage?
Well, I see it as a disadvantage for a couple of reasons. There's been houses that have been there for decades that, You know, they moved there, they purchased their houses on a small back road. Now, when Green Hill High School was built and Green Hill Road got beefed up, a lot of people started to cut through there. And I just think that's a concern for me, is being able for them to safely be able to get in and out of where they live. I mean, the traffic is already immense in that area when Green Hill opens for school and closes for school. So adding this to that already busy area is just going to really cause a traffic jam for them. I mean, there's been many afternoons that I've gone back there, and I'll be the first one to say that I'm guilty. I've used old Green Hill Road as a cut through before. I think a lot of us have at some point or another. And during the day when school's happening, it's probably backed up halfway through that road. So if I'm a homeowner trying to just get out to go to work or come home, having this project there is just another barrier to even get into their own house.
So, if this plan goes through or everything is approved with it, I see that more as an advantage than a disadvantage for the sake of people being able to move around. But I also see the possible traffic light that you're talking. Who was talking traffic light?
That was probably me.
Okay, that hopefully would be an advantage to helping take care of that flow as well, possibly.
Yeah, that was down here at Highway 70 and Old North Green Hill.
Right, the old North Green Hill.
Yeah, it would be putting it back where it used to be.
Yes, right. Correct. So we'd have two within a short period of time.
Yes,
That's,
ma'am.
So that's a request here on this?
Their traffic study showed that it met the warrants as required by the feds for installation of traffic signals, and it is being presented as a mitigation of their impacts. Because if you didn't put that in, the stacking of vehicles back going up would be even worse if it were just a stock controlled approach.
Was that consideration of widening North Green Hill?
They considered widening it up here just by their northwest connection, just for that turn
lane. To the
lane.
light is what I'm speaking of.
No, sir, they are not proposing that. There was discussion of that at one time, but I believe, from what I've been told, there are some pretty significant utilities buried along the side of Old North Green Hill that looks like they're most likely they could be getting, this is not my area, but they could be getting very close to, because they are proposing a sidewalk on Old North Green Hill along their frontage, which will also require them to install curb and gutter on that side, because you typically don't put in sidewalk without curb and gutter, which means you're then going to potentially have drainage inlets and things like that to, again, it's kind of that, I hate to say domino effect, but one thing tends to beget another. So there are some non-traffic factors along that roadway that, the beauty and curse of my world sometimes is we can see everything on a flat piece of paper, with signals and numbers and wires, until we deal with hills and curves, obviously. But there are other concerns over there on that side of the property that will need to be discussed and addressed.
Please, Commissioner Edgar.
So to your comment, I can only speak, I'm only one member of the BOC, but I do take the comments and the notes that are recorded at this planning commission seriously. Make comments like you trust that people, somebody's going to hear you, and weather balloons and things like that I think are a little out of line. But that aside, my biggest problem is you just got the traffic study yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And it doesn't sound like you've had an opportunity to fully consume that study. So I don't know. I mean, I was hoping to come back at the planning commission and hear a full detailed report on that. And it's kind of not what I'm hearing. So I would like for this planning commission, after you've had an opportunity to consume the traffic study and report back on it, to be able to, the planning commission to hear that. Otherwise, we're just kind of wasting our time here tonight. I don't know if the applicant would consider deferring the BOC. I'm not even sure you're going to have it ready for the BOC on Monday. But
It's going to take a lot of work this weekend. Yes, sir.
so you're going to have to work this weekend to get it done.
It's part of the gig.
So my recommendation is defer it a month until you've had an opportunity to consume the traffic study, come back and report to the planning commission, let the planning commission provide comments, which would then carry forward to the BOC, which would be taken in consideration during that vote. So that's my suggestion. I don't know how we proceed from here, but that's my comment. I don't think it's not a voting item, but that's what I'm going to recommend to the applicant.
Go ahead and ask for representation. Name and address for the record, please.
Jake Porter, CSDG 205 Pine Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee. Just to address a couple items here that we've talked about tonight so far. Commissioner George, just as far as the voting and up and down, approval or disapproval, it's just a recommendation. And as Mr. Hebner said, they do take the comments 100% very seriously. They come back to us with more comments and pressing hard, and we have meetings outside of just this one to kind of go over how to continue proceeding forward and getting more evolved with as a plan goes to continue to make it better and address comments even better. Some of the comments do, I won't say go ignore, but they get talked about, and sometimes they don't get fixed, I guess, answered in the plans because it's some of them are deemed not necessary, I guess. As far as the traffic study goes, at this point with the plan, we have done as best we can. After talking to TDOT, we've killed one of the access points, which is one of the comments that was received to Lebanon Road, and added the full 3/4 access to Lebanon Road as well. We have the left turn from North Green Hill Road into the site that's been added, straightened that spine road down the center of the site as you come in. So it's not, I know if y'all remember the old plan had it kind of swirling back and forth. And then the final question, which we've sent, I believe Friday, I sent an email. We're trying to get with the city and with the staff, again, trying to go through and digest the report and everything as quickly as they can. And we appreciate all that help. Our one outstanding comment that we feel that there is still not an issue, but it's a discussion item is Old North Green Hill Road. And at that point, it's, we've heard several commissioners here and BOC that have said, we don't like that access point at all. And several people commissioners that have said they want that one, they like that one, they need it. It's kind of both sides of it from a staff standpoint and from an engineering standpoint. Well, back up, the TDOT meeting we had, they actually had asked us the question of, well, why do you want any access points to Lebanon Road? Why not use only the two city roads or county city borders on one side, I guess, but the two Green Hill roads essentially as the main access points to this site. And myself not being a traffic engineer, and our traffic engineer is not here with us this evening, but the site simply, Jonathan, please correct me if you see something different, that site won't necessarily function well at all. Probably doesn't matter what you put on it if you don't have at least what we discussed about 3 points of access. All that to say, we have tried our best to pick and design carefully, I guess, I'd say the bare minimum for the people that don't like the old Green Hill Road connection point, the bare minimum improvements we can do and make that a decently functioning intersection and connection point to the site and to the road. And then at the same time, also leave it open, I'll say open-ended for in the future, that if it is a larger, every day you see it all day, you need a traffic signal there, that traffic signal can be installed in the future if it had to be. I believe to your point that signal, that our problem and TDOT's concern would be having the two traffic signals on Lebanon Road in such close proximity, but they left that up to city staff as far as deciding whether that traffic signal would be able to go in or if they want that one. And again, I reel it all the way back in because I keep getting hammered. This is a very, I won't say minute, but it's about 2 hours a day is this traffic an issue, right? School zone. The school has been the biggest traffic generator in this area in forever, I guess. And it's been, I don't know if it works like a well-oiled machine right now, but it is what it is. And this lot has the potential to be something great, right? It has all kinds of potential, and with potential and any kind of development, it's going to develop traffic and create traffic. So we've just, during those 2 hours, Jonathan, there's 3 peaks. It's the AM peak traffic where you have school going in, the mid-afternoon traffic, school coming out, and then a late PM, a later evening with traffic from, I guess, like rush hour traffic timelines. During those time periods is whenever I guess the study has been conducted to go to worst case scenario and see how, at the worst case, this is what it is. And, to the fact that it has not been fully vetted and gone through by staff, that is, again, underway and spending long hours. I'm right on board with Jonathan since Friday night. Whenever we first learned about this, I've had probably 40 hours in this job alone to get to this point, and the write-ups we did with planning and everything else to get to this point. So what we feel is whatever else can come out of the traffic study will likely be more improvements on to Old North Green Hill Road, which I don't, there's a lot of reasons why we would like to not do those items. One being all the public infrastructure outside the water line and sewer line and overhead power, and to the residential area feel of that side. And I spoke earlier with some folks, and one thing we don't have on here and we don't recommend, because I don't know that it's necessarily my place or our place. I've never done this piece of it, but my concern was why Old North Green Hill Road is at a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. I don't quite understand that piece of it. It would be great if that was lowered to make that area less traversable. If you say you use it as a cut through, well, if it was 25 miles an hour, would you use it as a cut through? And that would lower the traffic on there and put you back out onto North Green Hill Road, which is built and designed for the heavier traffic scenario. So anyway, sorry, rambling on about everything we've gone through to get to this point. We do appreciate everything staff's done and everything the commissions have done and input, and we've tried to digest everyone's comments from the original report and chairman's markups and everything like that. And I'm going to say this, but we feel it's a good product that we're trying to get put in here, and obviously to good users we want to see, and just trying to work through it. I will speak one last line to the scheduling and deferring, pushing back a month. That's been, part of my job is getting plans on paper, getting them submitted, and appeasing all comments and codes. The other part is obviously playing the middleman between staff and the codes and the developer and the developer's clients and everything, investors and that sort. So in their world, they have 120 day due diligence to figure out if they're going to buy a property or not. That window closed. I think it closes this week, which is why we've had the last 6 months to try to push into this, and it's been sped up, and it's been just continuously developing, evolving, rolling ball. And if we just timeline wise, if we defer this BOC and defer maybe planning again, push to the next planning meeting, the following BOC is a holiday. So it would get skipped that month. I believe it's BOC or planning. One of the two is the BOC, Monday night. So it was deferred. So it would actually want it deferring 2.5 months from today or from this past week, which again just turns into the nightmare that it is on the other end of this style project. So all those things considered, appreciate you all having us back and letting me speak as much as I did here. And I still will be here. Any comments and questions, like I said, still open to them, and still, I look at it as I still have till Monday to do as much work as I can to get everybody kind of happy and on the path to enjoying what could be a great project. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments? It seem accurate, Commissioner? You looking at that? At the
Yeah,
dates?
May, so the next planning commission would be the 16th of May. And then the following Monday, May 20th. Not seeing a holiday. Yeah, so I'm not, Memorial Day is the 27th. The VOC meeting is the 20th. Or sorry, you're correct. Yep. So it would be right on the 10th of June at the VOC. So a month and a half. Not quite 2.5 months.
You have a special call meeting?
No, not for this.
We
No,
did,
not for
we did,
this.
Jack, we did send in and ask if we could do that. And it was-
Yeah.
no. So we did ask if we could special call one to get it rolled, but
It's up to the commission. It's just,
And it really goes back to the Board of Commissioners. We're not necessarily taking action or a vote.
I'm definitely gonna make the recommendation at the BOC meeting Monday night, because I'd like the planning commission to weigh in on this. Otherwise, why did we defer it a month? I mean, my intention of moving it to the BOC, because the other option was we could have just postponed the planning commission, deferred it a month, and then you would have had to wait 2 BOC meetings, two readings, right? So you're back in June, July anyways. So I was trying to help you guys out to cut out some of that time, get it to the BOC, bring it back to the planning commission, get comments based on a traffic study, which is not what I'm hearing, because they just got it yesterday. So I mean, Monday night, I'm going to make the recommendation to, it's on one vote, but it's either going to, get passed, deferred, or it's going to fail. But I would like this planning commission to get a full report from our staff on that traffic study and then provide those comments, forward those comments on to the BOC for their consideration and review. So,
Yeah, we thought we'd have traffic. That's the thing. We thought we would have.
but
Traffic
yeah, I
study.
thought it would be done. I
Yeah.
thought I was expecting to hear full report on the traffic study and the BOC. And I don't know why you're working on the weekends on this project. You don't work for the developer. You work for the city of Mount Juliet.
Needs to get done, so
For who? You or for the developer?
we were asked to have comments ready. by Monday.
We were anticipating, depending on what the board said, ultimately it's up to the developer to defer.
Right.
We can't defer that, or you can do it at the podium, however. But we were, like I said, showing an effort to work with the developer and bring this to you guys Monday night. Like I said, y'all can decide however you want to go Monday night. We were just going to be prepared one way or another. So
Fair
that's
enough.
where that is. And with your feedback of this board in mind. So we're going to be ready. We don't want to be caught flat-footed. We want to be prepared. And that's where that comes from on the review. Yeah, we got it yesterday. Probably insufficient time to fully vet the study, just being honest with the board itself, but we're professionals too. So that's where that rationale is coming. And like I said, we started today after we got Jonathan a preliminary look at the study to see what we could get. But like I said, nothing's been finalized.
Okay.
And like I said, we were going to have to get with Jonathan again Monday to see what he came up with as part of the study. And like I said, it was more so just being ready.
Okay. I appreciate all your efforts.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Amen. That's right.
one question before you continue, just to vet out every other, not getting your comments in. As far as the traffic study itself being done, again, I'm looking at it through engineer's glasses from behind a desk downtown, trying to figure this out and wanting this. My lot actually is across the street from this development, so I'm kind of torn as well. But my question is, and maybe the staff we can have our own meeting as well in the next coming days. But for the board, what things would you can't control the traffic study, and we can't make it say what you want it to say, and we can't do what you want it to do, but what would you all like to see as far as, is it we don't want any access on Old North Green Hill Road at all? Or we want to improve North Green Hill Road top to bottom all the way? Or is it just purely whatever they tell us is what we should look for?
I'm not qualified to tell you where access points are supposed to be. I'm not qualified to tell you, traffic. So what I want to see is just for them to digest the traffic study and then they give their professional opinion on what should happen and how it should happen. And then based off of staff's opinion, make a decision. Because I don't know how we can say, I understand that we have feelings about, North Green Hill Road, Old North Green Hill Road. I didn't go to school for that. So I need somebody to tell me, hey, this is where it needs to be. And I need somebody to say that gets paid, good money to do this as a profession every day. Hey, based off our professional opinion, we suggest that we should do this. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know. Whatever they suggest, because they do it all day. That's what, and then based off of that, make it a decision for the city of Mount Juliet based off of what professionals are paid to do and digest information that comes in. That's, if they say all access goes on Old North Green Hill Road and everybody agrees and the traffic study suggests that, I'm with that too. So if they say not, then not. So for me, just the intention was to have the traffic study and then for us to digest it. And I don't feel comfortable making a decision on where access points should be without professional people saying that that's what they do. I don't know how we decide where access points should be. We didn't go to school for that.
So I will reel it all the way back just a minute, because we've talked about traffic studies for the last 25 minutes. That is just a piece of this project. The project itself is just the PMDP zoning for these lots. It honestly has nothing to do. We can't go build them whenever we're done. We still come back to them with FMDP site plans and still have to go back to TDOT and have to go through them to permit all of these access points and road improvements as well. So I understand completely that the job of the board is to, judge projects and rezonings and everything based on, codes and the goodness for the environment that it's surrounded by.
Yeah.
Which is where we're at now. What was my comment earlier about pushing? Okay, the traffic study is going to tell us either 3 lanes on Old North Green Hill Road all the way up and down, or don't put anything on it at all. And at that point, we have kind of pulled between none and some and try to put a plan together that we could keep moving forward with. So. But to reiterate, I know there's a lot of emotions involved in that particular road area. That's why we're trying to tiptoe. And if you have
Not me.
some comment, no, I'm not pointing out particular non-emotional stuff, but just if there was stuff that you were looking to come out of it, like we can try to dive into those particular items before Monday night.
Yeah, because for me, it makes sense. I've been around these developments and I don't know how in the world we would have, like I said, I'm not a professional, how we're going to put everything in and out. Chick-fil-A and a Wawa. I know how those traffic is. I know how the line is. I take my kids there in the morning. One way, you talk about the traffic this morning. So for me is I would just like to hear, I can sleep at night knowing that professionals are presenting the information and I'm making the decision based off of what professionals are saying. I can sleep at night doing that, but I can't, I think that it needs more than one access, but what do I know? I need somebody to tell me that.
One thing I want to add, Jake's right, there's going to be multiple stages, but the thing with the PMDP, yes, it is for zoning, but it's also a way that the planning commission sees what the roadway comments are recommended. And that's how, when they're taken to the BOC, they're written into the ordinance. So both bodies see what's going to be proposed. And that's what the FMDP at the site plan that the BOC does not see. And typically in the past, that's where a majority of the roadway comments are written into the ordinance at the BOC level, so that when site plans come in, they know exactly what's expected of them at that time, and both bodies have seen it. So that's in my role being in the city the last 3.5, close to 4 years.
it's that checks and balances, both sides seeing it.
Mike,
Question for staff.
please, no, please.
John and gentlemen, y'all been doing this a long time. Is it typical or atypical rather that a project comes before the planning commission, doesn't have a traffic study, passes through the first reading of the Board of Commissioners, doesn't have a traffic study, and now we've got a traffic study? That's my thoughts as well, especially going back to the very beginning when we had a ton of citizens in here that lived in that area that wanted to talk about this, and the developer pulled it. All those people left. And the way that the rules go, from my understanding and talking with staff in the past, they get one letter at the very beginning. And if you defer it for 5 months, they don't get another letter unless they keep their ear to the ground and they watch planning commission meetings and they watch every BOC. They don't know when it comes back. So my concern through all this is just the atypicalness of this entire project and everything that surrounds it. That's really my concern. And in the comments that I made earlier, no disrespect to the Board of Commissioners. Y'all do a tremendous job. I'm really good friends with my commissioner personally. Y'all do a tremendous job in work. And the concern's not y'all. The concern is that this commission meets to be able to talk and digest things that are happening. In this specific scenario, we didn't have all the information when we made our recommendation. So I don't want to take anything away from the Board of Commissioners at all.
Yeah, that's what, piggyback what Commissioner George has said over here. That's, in my time up here, definitely, on recommendation items, I'd say the very vast majority have been heard. I've also been taken aback as they've come through their final stages back to us to say that, wow, the BOC changed that. I was a little bit shocked to see that come back and not be within it. But the vast majority has been there. Share concerns of every one of them. I mean, every commissioner here has got that concern to see the traffic study and whatnot. I know you don't see me sitting here traditionally being quiet. Primarily I was sitting here being quiet so I could digest what I'm seeing and make my effort to not be really that we don't have a traffic study and the time that you guys are going to put in to figure this thing out between here and the BOC meeting. I kind of feel like the BOC would want to see it as well, more than a weekend getaway. But I am prepared with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 comments. 10 comments that I share after sitting here kind of quiet and digesting what I see here, because I can't change it. I didn't see the traffic study. I can't change the timeline that they've seen. I can't change it. It's going to go to the BOC as a discussion item. But what I can do is make sure that my input is heard here and the bullet points that lie within hopefully heard as well. So I am prepared to present these comments forward, and I would encourage each commissioner that is up here tonight that if you have those concerns that you've seen as you look through this site plan right here, to make sure I'll count mine. I'm got a nickel that says that I probably am capturing yours too, because you heard me up here. I was not a fan of that old Green Hill connection in any way, shape, or form. But it's there nevertheless, because I travel Green Hill daily for my employment, and as such, right there, I'm in it in school zone, out of school zone in the evening. My most frustrating item, and I expressed this when we saw it, is that when I'm heading southbound on Green Hill, coming to the intersection, I always get somebody that'll race me down Old Green Hill. And I maintain the speed limit, which on Green Hill is 35. And they never win. It is quicker to just stay where you are. And, some people got to realize that picking up 2 seconds could cost somebody their lives if you do that the wrong way. And that's about what you pick up by trying to take some of the shortcuts or perceived shortcuts out there and be conscious of that. So I would encourage anybody, if you have some additional comments, I'll speak mine here in just a moment, make sure everybody spoke, to please make sure that we get them in here, get them forward. At the end of the night, I want to sleep well as well. And so if I've made my piece and said my piece, then I hope that I've got it in there. Yeah, sure. And I'll reiterate them, or I'll give this to staff right there, especially with the microphone issues that we have experienced tonight, to make sure you get them. These are just a few of them that I have. Item number 1, if Lot 5 changes its proposed use as seen here, they should be brought back to the Planning Commission for approval due to having no trash facilities on that particular lot. Item number 2 would be the recommendation of traffic calming installed on North Green Hill. Yes, that comes from me, and you know my thoughts on speed tables and such. My recommendation for the traffic calming would be a raised crosswalk at the intersection of Williamsburg and Old Green Hill Road. That would also include the extension of the sidewalk on this site to be completed all the way up to the intersection of Old Green Hill and Green Hill Road, which I'm pretty sure the city owns that property as such, so it could probably allow them the extension of the sidewalk to get up there as well. One comment would be if a staff reviews the traffic report and a stoplight is recommended for the intersection of Old Green Hill and Lebanon Road, that the money is captured within for its current and or future use. Next one would be some of them are cliff notes, so bear with me as I read them to make sure that I word them right. Potentially, and I just looked at this aerial, so kind of this one really is not as much anymore when I was looking at it just now on Google Maps, but that recommendation was to extend the right turning lane at the intersection of Old Green Hill and Green Hill Road intersection right there to allow more right-hand queuing. Change or remove 2 of the 7 parking places at the southwest entrance to Lot 3, and extend the curb. That would be as you turn into the site off Lebanon Road. Lot 3 is the proposed convenience store. The first 2 parking spaces that you come up, this would also allow your islands to match up right there by the removal of those 2 parking places. And it would prevent a backing into traffic situation right there and potential wreck or whatnot in what I see as a main intersection into that proposed convenience store. Change, and this comment goes back over as well, change or remove the 2 east-facing parking spaces at the southeast entrance on Lot 4, which is the proposed fast food. There's just 2 random east-facing parking places right there. It creates kind of once again, a backing into each other situation right there. Also allows the entrance to have more green space, landscaping, trees, buffers, things like that to be added. I know we need all the parking, especially for those proposed uses, but I feel like that the sites would be better off with those comments. As Mr. Porter stated up here, I would recommend that the BOC consider reducing the speed limit on Old Green Hill Road to 25 miles an hour. I too was unaware that it was a 40-mile-per-hour speed zone. The other one is, I want to take it all the way back to 25. Yeah, well, Green Hill. Yeah, Green Hill is 35. Yeah, and so you could go Old Green Hill and exceed it by 5. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's fascinating. The other is ensure the left end when moving northbound on Green Hill Road to ensure that the left end turn lane is sufficient, has sufficient queuing to get into the site. I I don't know, because you can't scale, or you can't really see how many cars have the ability to sit in that, because those two northbound lanes, particularly during school time, are very necessary. I included that comment about the extending the sidewalk to the west side of the City of Mount Juliet property up there. And then just make sure that we have sufficient right of way for a future right end decel lane when going westbound on Lebanon Road to the entrance to Old Green Hill Road. Because if that does become a stoplight right there, it seems like that you'd want a little bit of a decel right there, or turning lane to get onto Old Green Hill. Even though I'm sort of conflicted about that, because my intent or purpose would be to reduce or minimize this site's impact to Old Green Hill Road, or Old North Green Hill Road. My apologies. Those would be the comments that I desire to be heard by BOC. Yes, sir. So further questions or comments, Ms. Hammond?
I just trying to help you all with the path forward, and I wanted to offer a response to your public notice, Commissioner George. At the Planning Commission level, we do that as a courtesy because we pride ourselves in being transparent. Our way of going the extra mile for our residents to be informed of developments moving forward. The official public hearing is required by state law at second reading, which is where the public hearing will be held. So we're not trying to not inform our residents that projects are moving forward. We do that at Planning Commission level as a courtesy. We want to go that extra mile for them, but they will have another opportunity to talk at second reading of BOC.
I appreciate that. That wasn't my intent at all. Staff does a great job of trying to get behind. I think one thing that we've learned here tonight, and hearing from staff, is that they're going the extra mile, they're working the extra hours to try to make sure that the Board of Commissioners has every possible resource to be able to make an informed decision. I think my concern just was with the initial letter going out, having a ton of people here, and then that deferral happening and withdrawing for that month. And then this time and 2 months ago when we saw it, we didn't have a single comment from a citizen. I think that was my concern, is just that the buy-in of concern was there in the beginning, obviously, just by looking at the crowd, and now seeing that fall off, that was really my concern. But I appreciate that.
They were not noticed tonight. It's a discussion item, but they will be noticed for BOC first reading. And I guess I may have another comment when I see what you guys plan for your path forward. If you guys were interested in seeing this again as an action item, Commissioner Hefner could vote Monday night or make a motion to refer this back to you guys as an action item. So at the May meeting, you will be able to vote on it. It was not placed as an action item on tonight because you guys have already made a recommendation on that, and they're addressing those comments. So it was a positive recommendation with conditions to come back here. That condition is tonight as a discussion item, because you don't vote on the same item twice unless the BOC refers it back to the Planning Commission for that to take place.
And I will be doing that exactly. I will be referring this back as an action item.
Right. And that is a good way forward. Maybe get everybody comfortable on either way it goes. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm trying to text everybody back. I was like, would you commit to that? And so I wasn't sure if I was going to have an opportunity to talk, but I think that's a great plan forward, and it'll give you guys another opportunity to look at this plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess with that being said, should your motion fail at BOC or anything else, does anyone have any other comments that they wish to be included, to be recognized and heard by the BOC?
I think I'm just going to echo the sentiments of what you said. You kind of took the words out of my mouth.
Very well. Everybody? Very well. Thank you all very much. I guess I do have to call for citizen comments. Anyone wishing to make citizen comments about this item on our agenda is welcome and encouraged to do so. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no citizen comments at this time, we'll move forward to our next item on the agenda, and I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Let me hold your motion there real quick. with that being said, I do want to include on this discussion item, I am going to submit the recommendations that I had. I wrote them down to staff. Anyone wishes to see them when we're done, you're welcome to do so. But I'm going to give staff, for your record, my little red sheet of paper right here at the completion of the meeting. And it reiterates what I did say here publicly. That being said, motion?
Motion.
I'll second that. That's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising their hand. Aye. Against? Abstentions? We are adjourned.